Greetings. Thank you for subscribing. In our last episode, we talked about excuses. Today, we will continue to talk about the dangers of excuses. We already said sometimes excuses are given to try to cover up on our failures. When we are not able to achieve a particular item or achieve a particular goal, in order to cover up for why we did not achieve it, or in order to shift the blame from ourselves to another person or to a particular circumstance, the tendency is for us to try to give excuses. And excuses are not the best because they either paralyze our efforts or they may derail us. And so today we'll be talking about the dangers of giving excuses. What are those dangers? What are those results? What are those negative consequences that will result when someone makes his life or centers his life around the giving of constant excuses? You know, you can't attain a particular goal. You go to school and you school with your friends. Your friends graduate and you are still in school, or you drop out from school. And the tendency is for you to give an excuse, or is a tendency for you in order to escape or to give a valuable reason why you could not graduate or why your friends were successful and you were not. The tendency is to give an excuse. The tendency is to look for a way out, in order that the blame should not be your part. And so today we want to look at those dangers. The very first danger of giving an excuse is that it limits our potentials and opportunities. When we give excuses, those excuses limit our potentials and they limit our opportunities. Now, what we mean with this is, when we keep giving excuses, the potential that you have in you, every one of us has a certain potential that God has created and deposited in you. And we need to work hard. We need to stimulate ourselves so that we bring out those potentials for you to fully function at that potential. Now, if you keep giving excuses, you may never be able to realize or come to attain that potential. For example, you are a good mathematics student. Let me take mathematics for example. And then you don't take time to solve those equations each time because the equations, maybe they are long, or you don't want to spend time and you keep giving excuses. I can't do it. We didn't have a good teacher. That potential of being a mathematician may not be able to be exercised. You may never be able to bring it out. And all your life, you may spend your whole life on earth and leave this earth and you will die with that potential. But when you take time and you give yourself to it, forget about those excuses. A teacher or no teacher, you give yourself time, you will come out with that potential. If you are a good painter, you don't take time to learn the differences in color, how to mix these colors. Go to meet somebody who is already an experienced painter to get to know what he does and what he does not do, and come to know how he mixes his colors to come out with very bright paints. And you give excuses, oh, the paint dates my body and this and that. You will not be able to fully exercise your potentials as a good painter. And so you can go on and on. When we give excuses, what happens is you are not able to exercise your full potential. You are not able to take hold of opportunities. Because when these opportunities come, because of the excuses you have given, the excuses we keep giving, they will limit you. You will not be able to go out. You will not be able to exercise those opportunities. And so that is the first danger. When we give excuses, it limits our potentials. It limits the opportunities we have in life. Nobody will want to give you maybe a way out. Nobody will want to appoint you to a position of responsibility. No, when you keep giving excuses, or you can't wake up at 7 a.m., your director tells you to be at the office at 8 o'clock. You tell them, I can't get up at 7 a.m. And so they can't give you more responsibilities. You may work in an office all your life, and the best you can get in that office is maybe just to be an assistant. You may never be able to become a full manager or a full director. Why? Because of these excuses. We keep giving excuses, and so excuses limits our potential. It limits our opportunities. You know, where we are supposed to get to, what we are supposed to attain. Because of those excuses, we may not be able to get there. The second point we need to know is, when we give excuses, excuses damage our self-esteem and self-confidence. When we give excuses, it damages our self-esteem. It damages our confidence. Now, if you have a friend And that friend believes in you so much. That friend trusts you so much. And each time, he wants you to help do something. And all we need to do is give excuses. Excuses today, excuses tomorrow. The level that you were placed in that friend's mind will begin to diminish. The friend saw you as somebody responsible, somebody who was valuable. But because you keep giving excuses, invaluable excuses, what happens? The friend begins to underestimate you. You can't deliver anymore. You are a worker, you are a technical worker, you are a builder, you are a contractor or whatever. And the fact that you can't deliver your job on time, not because of materials were not available, not because of the finances were not there, but just irrelevant excuses. What happens? You begin to diminish in the market. In the labor market, people may not hire you anymore because you can't keep your words. Your self-esteem, you begin to go down. You can't deliver. And so nobody will be willing to recommend you to another person. You by yourself, you start losing your confidence. People don't have any more confidence in you because they say, if I give him this job, he will not be able to deliver in 30 days, as he said. He will not be able to deliver in 60 days. And so because of those excuses, what happened? You begin to drop down. Your self-esteem begins to go down. Your confidence begins to go down. You can't deliver. You yourself know. Because these excuses become a barrier between you and you yourself, your actual self that you were before. These excuses have become a barrier. You can't deliver. You can't achieve. So excuses damage our self-esteem. If you had a high self-esteem, you have a self-respect, and you begin to give excuses. You were somebody that used to you had integrity, you had dignity. But once you start giving excuses, people start looking at you and they'll start telling you you have changed. Start telling you you are not who you used to be. Why? Because those excuses, they are not normal. They are not supposed to be there. They are irrelevant. And so you begin to damage yourself. Those self-respect will be gone. Your integrity will be lost. Your dignity will be thrown away. And you, once a while, that people respected, that people valued, that people cherished, after some time, those excuses, they will make you to fade out. Fade out of business, fade out of marriage, fade out of everywhere. If you are a married person in your marital home, and all of a sudden, you start giving excuses to your spouse. Maybe these are not the excuses you used to give before. You cook well, you prepare well, you go out and you come back on time. All of a sudden, you start keeping late nights and then excuses from one to another. Your spouse will lose confidence in you, and your self-esteem will drop because you know exactly these excuses begin to make you who you are not. The third point we want to look at is when we give excuses constitute a resistance to change. You will know very well. The only thing in life that is constant is change. But once we start giving excuses, we become addicted to giving irrelevant excuses. What happens? The next thing is to develop a resistance to change. Because you don't want to change, we'll give excuses to escape. Another excuse to escape the other one. Another excuse to escape why you did not do it this way. Another excuse why you didn't go to the market. Another excuse why the food was not cooked on time. Another excuse why you didn't open the door. And so all one's life become filled up with excuses. Some people can even stay for a long time, especially ladies, without getting married, maybe for a long while. Not because no suitor comes by, but because all their whole life is filled with what? Excuses. They have made up their mind. They have an idea. They have their design. They have their carve-out of the kind of person they wanted to get married to. He must be this one. He must be a man that has a car. He must be a man that has a PhD. He must be a man that has 10 million in the bank. And so this is their type of person they are looking for. And so when somebody comes their way who is not their type, they give an excuse. People are asking, why don't you marry this one? He is a good kid. No, I don't want this one. He is not fat. I don't want this one. He is slim. I don't want this one. His car is not good. And before you discover, they are resistant to change. They don't want to change. They don't want to accommodate what they are seeing. They want to remain there. And so they get to 40. They get to 45. No other person has come because they are resistant. And so from one excuse to another, or because they want somebody whom they can control or manipulate. And once they can't see that kind of person, what happens? They choose to stay single. Why? Because they are resistant to change. And so when we keep giving excuses, it makes us resistant to change. But those who do not give excuses are willing and open to learn. They learn and they are able to adapt. But those who keep giving excuses, they know, of course, they don't prepare themselves. They don't study. They don't search. They don't try to do research. They don't try to study, learn from others. They don't try to find out what others are doing so that they will be able to cope and meet up with the day-to-day changes. They are just confident. They are satisfied with where they are because they know when a question comes or when the reason rises up why they did not do this or do that, they will certainly give an excuse. And so these kind of people, excuses makes them resistant to change. They are not willing to change. They will give many reasons why their dresses were not washed, many reasons why they didn't give money to pay their children's fees. They will give many reasons why they didn't pay the landlord. They will give many reasons why they didn't pay the bills, and so on and so forth. All their lives are filled up with excuses. And so excuses makes us resistant to change. The fourth one, when we become addicted to irrelevant excuses, it makes us uncommitted. Anybody who is prone to always give an excuse becomes an uncommitted person. For example, if you have somebody that wants to do a piece of job for you, maybe a carpenter, and you give him a job to do, a table and maybe 4 chairs, and he knows that he is not going to deliver this job on time, probably because he has used the advance or part of the money you gave him for something else, or maybe because he does not have the right materials. In order to keep putting you off, what will he do? He will give you excuses. He will tell you, I saw the plants were not there, the person selling the plant was not there. He will just keep giving you excuses from one to another. He will tell you the varnish was not there, the sandpaper was not there. Just keep giving you excuses from one to another. A child or a student who does not want to go to lecture, or who prefers doing some other thing aside from lecture, when he discovers that the friends who are spending 4 years in the same department, same faculty, same class, same course, are graduating, in order to try to cover up why he or she is not graduating with them, will tell the friends or tell the parents, the lecturer love this one, these students who are graduating are from the lecturer's tribe, these ones are the lecturer's girlfriend, and so on and so forth. And so just keep hiding behind that. The simple truth is, this person maybe was not committed, was uncommitted. When the friends were submitting their own continuous assessment, the person was nowhere to be found. Maybe the person was clubbing or partying. And so what we find out is, when we give excuses, they make us become uncommitted. But if we really need to be committed, we must avoid excuses. We must put away excuses, especially those ones that are irrelevant. Sometimes excuses are vital because it is just necessary at that particular point, because there are things we can't manage and we can't handle. But those irrelevant excuses, that is what we are addressing here. We must learn to put away those irrelevant excuses, because they will make you to become uncommitted. Uncommitted husband, uncommitted father, uncommitted mother, uncommitted wife, uncommitted member of the church, uncommitted politician, uncommitted director of anywhere, uncommitted worker, uncommitted servant, uncommitted boss, uncommitted anything wherever you find yourself. Because somebody tells you, we have to go out. Your boss tells you, we have to go out at 8 a.m. So make sure you are there at 7:50. You come at 9 a.m. and your boss wants to ask you, so there was too much traffic on the road. And your boss is expected to be at this place at this time. Your boss just treats you as an uncommitted person, and he puts you away and get another person and replace. And that is how many people, their life moves into stagnation. They can't advance because of excuses. And so we need to know that too many excuses bring stagnation in life. When you continue giving excuses, you remain stagnant. You can't move ahead. You remain at that place for a long time. Other people will bypass and go ahead of you while you are still beating time, marking time on the same spot, because your life has been surrounded, filled up, closed around with excuses. So excuses make us to become uncommitted. Lastly for today, excuses will hinder personal growth and development. Once we trigger our life to give excuses, it will not trigger us in any way to develop. We'll be contented. We'll be satisfied where I am. Of course, when they ask me, that at this age, at 45, at 50, I have been working. Why do I not even have a room that I have built? I will say, no, the salary was too small. But there are people who are living on those same salary and even lower than that, and they are able to build mansions. So what has happened? The reason is, when we give excuses, it's going to hinder our personal growth. It will hinder our personal development. You will see somebody, all his life or all her life, she will be living with just one or two dresses, just surviving on that, because he doesn't give attention to care for those things. He doesn't put attention to care for himself or care for herself, because he gives excuses. He will tell you somebody is not, it doesn't matter what you wear, it matters what's in your heart. No. We also say, God expects us to be clean. Even the society expects us to be presentable. Even your boss in the office expects you to be presentable. But why do we give excuses? It's because we don't want to grow. Because of those excuses, they will hinder you. They will hinder you from growing. You don't want to develop yourself. This is what you know. You studied at the university, and at the first degree, this is where you ended. This is what you know at this time. And all your working career, that is what you know. You are not ready to even go online to study. You are not ready to even look for educational apps to study. You are not ready to even go for seminars. You are not ready to even go for refresher courses. You say, of course, I did it in school. I did it in school. Young people are coming into that career, and they will soon bypass you. And people who are your children, even your grandchildren, very soon they become your boss in the office, and you are still there because of excuses. You are not ready to develop yourself personally. You are not ready to develop your career. You are not ready to develop your know-how. So you are still remaining with the knowledge that your old professor gave you many years ago. That professor himself has upgraded. You who received that knowledge from that professor is still dying with that knowledge, and then you are still turning around. And so what we say is, excuses will make us, they will hinder our growth, they hinder our development. If we need to progress in life, we need to avoid excuses. We need to overcome excuses. Excuses, especially the irrelevant ones, are not the best for any human being. Excuses are not supposed to be part of our day-to-day living. In our next episode, we will be talking on how to avoid excuses. We thank you so very much for watching. Continue to subscribe. God bless you.